Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a short contribution in terms of the debate, and what I really want to focus on is rationale. And what was the rationale for establishing the Mental Health Commission in the first place? So when I was asked to speak on this bill today, I thought, right, well, let's have a look. And it was actually established post a 95 inquiry because there were concerns in our society regarding the adequacy of mental health services following a program of deinstitutionalisation and relocation to community living of people who had been in mental institutions, and also to consider the role of alcohol and drug services in relation to mental health. Now, when we look at that, that was a need that society had at the time. We went through a process, there was an inquiry, and as we know, the Mental Health Commission, which is actually an entity, was created to improve and lift the priority around mental health in New Zealand. And I actually think that is the question. What will change from having a specific entity, the Mental Health Commission, versus having an individual, a person who's going to carry that responsibility to ensure that mental health continues to be a priority area in New Zealand? When I looked at some of the work of the Mental Health Commission, it's very interesting because we know that 1 in 5 adults in New Zealand experience mental health or addiction problems, and this has a huge impact on our families and our communities. And one of the other interesting pieces of research was done by the University of Auckland. So we know at secondary school level, for example, that 10% of our girls self-harm and 5% of our boys self-harm. So when we have research that says that mental health is a big issue here in New Zealand, and obviously our youth suicide statistics, and may I say our suicide statistics generally are pretty appalling, we would all acknowledge that as a country there's something seriously wrong when our kids are so hopeless that the only way out of the predicament that they see themselves in is to take their own lives. And so the value of having an entity that focuses on mental health, that ensures that there is a body who can collate that evidence, who can drive that evidence, who can actually ensure that that evidence informs how the Ministry of Health does their work, how different aspects of social development funding provide the services that are critically needed in our community to address these needs. That is actually the difference, and that is why we won't be supporting this part of the bill. We think that having a commission and having an entity with a capacity is much better than having an individual who will be in the Health and Disability Commissioner's office who has to be the champion of mental health. We think that's too big a burden to carry. Some of the other interesting research that the Mental Health Commission has produced about New Zealanders' wellbeing relate to issues about so we know that middle-aged people, Māori, Pacific, and people from the most deprived neighbourhoods have mental health concerns. So we know there's a link between mental health and poverty, for example. We know that there has been no change in the proportion of people aged 15 years and over who have had hazardous drinking patterns. So between 1996 and 2006, we haven't been able to address those issues. And we also know that 6.6% of people over 15 years of age have a high or very high probability of an anxiety or depressive disorder. So there is a lot of need in New Zealand society. And I just hope that the decision that is being made by this current government, when I look at the rationale for this bill, so when they had their initial briefing on the 15th of February, the purpose of this bill was to realign government functions to either group complementary function skills and objectives, to place functions in larger or more resilient agencies that have more capacity and capability, and obviously the overriding objective was about saving money, pretty much. So I hope at the end of the day, the decision to get rid of a commission and to replace a commission with a commissioner isn't going to see an increase in some of the mental health indicators that we currently enjoy. So as long as this government is happy that this isn't going to affect the ability of us as a nation to meet the needs of those who have mental health issues, then that's fine. Kia ora.
Members, the question is that Part 2 stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The either party vote's called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
13 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
8 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
3 votes opposed.
Mana.
Opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Any other votes?
Members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. Part 2 will stand part. We now come to Part 3. The question is that Part 3 stand part. This is